From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
Hannah actually just sent us a link. That is all that was included in her email. It was a link. She didn't need to greet us. She didn't need to tell us anything about it. She just said, "Hey, look over here at this." I said, "Okay," popped it open, and this is what I found. It is a Guardian article, The Guardian, in fact, and the title is "Tourist Returns Stolen Artifacts from Pompeii After Suffering Curse." Ooh. Yeah, you know how we like curses here on stuff they don't want you to know. Please do not cast any upon us, but we like discussing them. Was it King Tutankhamun's curse that we looked at back in the day? I think that was the one.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Maybe a few others. What happens when you meddle with something ancient that deals with or that had something terrible occur to it or around it or to the humans that used it? Well, that is the case here. Let's jump into the article just a little bit. There was a tourist from Canada who visited Pompeii 15 years ago as of this month, and while she was there, she took 2 mosaic tiles and a piece of ceramics, and she took both of those things back with her to Canada after leaving Pompeii. First of all, let's not do this, everybody. Let's just make a pact right now. If you're in Pompeii or some other ancient city or place, let's not pilfer things from those ancient places. Wait, what? Uh-oh.
Oh, no, I think it's a noble thing to do. I just want to be honest. It's, things come up.
Well, okay, it's something we should strive to not do. Okay.
Yeah, agreed. Looking at you, British Museum.
Yeah, I mean, there's like this historic cemetery in Atlanta called Oakland Cemetery, and there's like a golfer's grave there where people have dumped all these golf balls there and like tees and stuff like that. People leave. Even that's like not cool. Taking that stuff as a souvenir, or like Jean-Benet Ramsey's grave. I'm sorry, I'm being depressing about that, but there's like a tree next to her grave that people hang these little ornaments in, and you don't want to take that stuff either. But you certainly don't want to take something that could be like a culturally important artifact.
Agreed.
Let alone that has religious significance, and the idea of desecrating a grave. That's just, not chill.
Mm-hmm.
You're correct. And on this show, we, as of yet, have been able to confirm or deny the existence of karma. But it's certainly something that I feel exists. And something akin to what you put into the world, you will also get out of it. But it's not always true, and history has proven this. So let's get back to this tourist. Her name is Nicole, and when she was fairly young, in her early 20s, she visited Pompeii, and she took these things back to where she was living. And at this point, 15 years later, she is blaming this single act on several pretty terrible things that have happened in her life. She apparently has suffered with breast cancer twice in her life, so getting cancer, being treated, going to remission, then getting cancer again. The second time she was forced to she had to get a double mastectomy in order to treat the cancer. Mm-hmm. And she said she's had a run of misfortune, getting into financial hardship. I'm sure in part from her medical expenses.
Sure.
And she took these things that she had stolen and she put them in a package, sent them back with a note that said, "Please take them back. They bring bad luck." And she did apologize for the act of pilfering. And, it's one of those things like, at least she did the right thing and sent them back. Because not everyone does, and people take things from Pompeii all the time and other places. This is an article from 2014 that describes just how many people take things from Pompeii and return them. There was a 70-year-old woman who took something from, they call it the attraction. So it's like the actual city of Pompeii that was uncovered after Mount Vesuvius, erupted, and it essentially encased most of everyone who was there in the city in ash, and the bodies were actually recovered after it was rediscovered years and years and years later. It's a very somber place, but this woman, 70-year-old woman, took something in 1964 and then returned it. And in this article, the director of the archaeological museum there, at least I think that's who they're referring to, it does not actually say here, says they've been receiving hundreds of packages with hundreds of fragments for years, and they were considering setting up a special display, essentially, that was going to be all of the artifacts that have been taken and returned. It's really interesting. There's a specific fresco fragment that was taken, and the archaeologists there, they wanted to restore this thing. It's called the Casa del Fruteo, or it's on the Casa de Fruteo side, is what it says. They wanted to restore this thing, but there were a couple important fragments missing, and one person who did take this important thing returned it, and they were able to put the thing together and restore it. I mean, that's nice, right?
Yeah, but Nicole, I believe, her package had there were some other people, I think a couple from Canada that included some stuff they were returning. And I couldn't find other people referring to a curse. It seems like many people were just returning these pilfered pieces of history because they rightly felt bad about what they had done. And also, just to be very clear about my earlier joke, don't steal other people's culture and history. I mean, one of the great tragedies of the Iraq War that nobody talks about is how in 2003, or starting in 2003, the National Museum of Iraq was looted. Like, this is not an ancient thing, it's not a one-off that happens decades or centuries in the past. We have to remember that there are concerted efforts to take this stuff for personal enjoyment and for profit. There's a huge business in illegal artifacts and historical works of art. So I would say good on everybody for returning this kind of stuff. It's
yeah.
Would you feel right having it in your house?
Well, Nicole certainly didn't. And what she wrote in her letter, I'm going to give you one more quote. She said, "We took them without thinking of the pain and suffering these poor souls experienced during the eruption of Vesuvius and their terrible deaths. We are sorry. Please forgive us for making this terrible choice. May their souls rest in peace." And again, this is a special circumstance. This really is, this is a place where a terrible thing occurred and lots of suffering took place. And, I understand that being there in the moment, looking at everything, kind of, experiencing it as close as you can, you may think, I want to remember this forever. This is amazing. But don't do it, like Ben said.
Also, this isn't the year for it. I know we don't have time for this one, but you guys heard recently, right? 59 new mummies and a statue of a mysterious god were found in Egypt, and people are disinterring it. It's not the time. Let the dead stay in the ground, just like at least until 2022.
Are you saying we don't need an undead plague in addition to all the other?
Because this is the year
going on.
This is the year it would happen, Noel. Obviously,
it's true. It would certainly be like a cherry on top. Honestly, I mean, why not? Let's just go all the way and get weird with it and be torn apart by angry undead deities from another dimension.
Yeah. I mean, we could, but we also couldn't. We could not.
Well, it's we'll see. Let's roll the dice on this one. We'll see how it goes.
Do you guys believe in curses? Matt, I know you and I talked about this in the King Tut episode, and if I recall, it's a little difficult to navigate, or it's complicated, right? Because you do believe in something like karma, and a curse would just be formalized karma.
Yeah, but really, when I'm thinking about curses, it's something that is you do something, and a live person performs some kind of ritual that really is just. We talked about this on Harmontown. When you're referring to magic, the
weaponized psychology.
Yeah, the ritual itself is weaponized self psychology, right? So almost like convincing yourself that I'm going to cause bad things to happen to this person. I don't believe that there's some kind of supernatural force that reaches its hand throughout time and space and does bad things to you, but I don't know. I mean, if you're doing anything to harm another person, then you should be on the lookout.
Yeah, I mean, it's words have power, and if you really focus them on somebody, but then it belies the question, like, is a curse if you just do it in private and don't tell the person? You know what I mean? Like, does it require actually psyching them out with some mental jujitsu, or can you just, whisper in a corner in your room and then hope that the power of your words manifests itself somehow through the ether? I would say less so that, for sure. Much more basically weaponized shit talking, where you're like making someone feel bad about themselves and then they believe. Gaslighting. That's a curse. Things like that,
Well, they're called curse words. We use curses all the time. We curse things all the time. Like a plague, a pox on your house, a plague on your podcast. Those are curses. Saying fuck that is a curse. Reviews. Saying fuck that is a curse.
100%. What was it too that we were talking about? How death to in Farsi is much more accurately described as sort of just like a mild curse, sort of like. Forget that thing,
Airline food, am I right? Death to airline food.
But it's just some of the most death to Matt Frederick and his entire family, as opposed to, man, Matt Frederick's sort of a pill,
Oh, dang. All right, well.
No, I don't believe these things. These are entirely hypothetical. No one in their right mind would ever call you a pill. And if they did, I would have words for them.
I think you just cursed me, but okay.
I think if you were a pill, you'd be a sugar pill, Matt.
Exactly.
Oh, completely ineffective, but
delicious.
I can bring about results if you believe it.